Hi, welcome to the Louie File. I thank you so much for watching. I hope that this is informative, helpful, encouraging most of all. Today I want to talk about a very serious topic. Not that all my topics aren't serious, but I'm usually a kind of a funny kind of person. I enjoy life and I like to laugh, and that's not a bad thing. But today I want to talk to you about depression and having thoughts maybe of suicide. Very heavy topic, but I think that we can learn something through the Old Testament saints, the Old Testament characters, the Bible characters we all know and love. Most of them, if not all of them, had bouts of depression or thoughts of just giving up. And I think that not only does that mean we can relate to them, but I think there may be a principle that is lying underneath the surface with that. Sometimes I believe the fall itself has so tainted our understanding of reality and the way things really are that we don't understand what's going on because of that. You know, in Ecclesiastes, Solomon wrote, "Vanity, vanity, all is vanity. Everything under the sun is meaningless." And coming from a merely fallen human perspective, that's very true, isn't it? But we have to get a heavenly perspective on things. That's the only way that we wake up and become aware and start to walk in the love and the peace and the joy that God offers us in Jesus Christ. So I would like to share with you several, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 places I think in the Old Testament where each of these Old Testament characters had bouts of depression. I want to start in Numbers chapter 11. I want you to know where I'm getting this from and for you to look it up yourselves. I'm not just making this up out of nothing. I'm coming at you from the Word of God. So Numbers chapter 11, I'm going to start in verse 10 and read through 15. Numbers 11, verse 10. Now Moses heard the people weeping throughout their families, each man at the doorway of his tent, and the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly, and Moses was displeased. So Moses said to the Lord, "Why have you been so hard on your servant? And why have I not found favor in your sight, that you have laid the burden of all this people on me? Was it who I conceived all this people? Was it I who brought them forth? That you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a nurse carries a nursing infant, to the land which you swore to their fathers? Where am I to get meat to give all this people? For they weep before me, saying, give us meat that we may eat. I alone am not able to carry all this people, because it is too burdensome for me. So if you're going to deal with us, if you're going to deal thus with me, please kill me at once. If I have found favor in your sight, and do not let me see my wretchedness." Oh my gosh, see, Moses has taken this burden of all these people upon himself. And he's saying, if you really like me, God, just kill me. He just can't carry it. Well, guess what? Probably guessed. He's not meant to. See, what happened was Moses, and this is a good thing to take responsibility. I'm not saying that we don't take responsibility and that we don't care for other people and we don't do what we're called to do, but we absolutely can't do it in our own strength. We can only do it by way of God's Spirit. So Moses is just feeling overwhelmed, and it's too heavy to carry the people of Israel. And I love in verse 14, Numbers 11:14, he says, I alone am not able to carry all this people because it's too burdensome for me. See, revelation's coming to Moses here. Revelation is coming. See, that's where we all have to get. We have to get to the place where we recognize life is not, we're not able to live it. We're just not able to live it. Now, jump ahead with me to 1 Kings. 1 Kings 19. And we have a story about a prophet named Elijah. 1 Kings 19. And Elijah had a big showdown with a bunch of false prophets. And right after this, after standing in front of against 800 false prophets, King Ahab's wife Jezebel threatened Elijah, and so he ran for cover. So in 1 Kings 19, verse 4, it says, talking about Elijah, "But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die, and said, 'It is enough now, Lord, take my life, for I am not better than my fathers.'" And he just laid down there and he gave up. Elijah, mighty prophet of God, dispenser of the truth, wanted to die. See, he was feeling it just like Moses was. You know, our flesh is weak and unable to carry. God already knows this. But you know, through a series of events, through His law, through trials, through testings, through opposition and accusation, we have to come to know this. We have to come to know that we can't carry it, that Christ in us is our only hope. All right, now look ahead. Look again now in Job. Where's Job? Job chapter 3. Job, man, what a story about Job, huh? If you haven't read that, I'd say that might be a good thing to do. Might be a good place to look. Job chapter 3, verses 1 through 3. It says, all right, now this is after Job had lost his servants and his family, and his barns had burned up, and cattle died, and everything, just the whole world caved in on Job. And his wife even tried to get him to curse God just so he could die and be done with it. But look what it says, Job 3, starting in 1. It says, "Afterward Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. And Job said, 'Let the day perish on which I was to be born, and the night which said, a boy is conceived. May that day be darkness. Let not God above care for it, nor light shine on it.'" He's depressed. He's saying, it would be better if I was never born. Now that's depressed. He wants to die. Now, if you look also in Job 3, verse 11, he says, "Why did I not die at birth, come forth from the womb and expire?" Wow. See, when we think of these Old Testament saints, we think, boy, there's something we can't attain to. But you know what? This right here is a place we can connect. Because most of us, if we've lived very long at all, have come to a place where we get depressed, get overwhelmed, maybe even suicidal. You know, my experience was that I would go to sleep every night, crying myself to sleep, praying to a God I didn't even know that He might kill me in my sleep. I just wanted to not wake up in the morning. I didn't want to have to face another day of addiction and struggle with all the pain and anguish that it brought with it. So I'm here to tell you, I get this. So now look ahead in Jeremiah. In Jeremiah 20, see, over and over again, all of these people that we have made out to be so shiny and wonderful, and I'm not saying they weren't, but they had very human struggles. Jeremiah 20, verses 14 and 15. Jeremiah says something similar that Job said. Jeremiah 20, 14 and 15. "Cursed be the day when I was born. Let the day not be blessed when my mother bore me." Oh my gosh. "Cursed be the man who brought the news to my father, saying, a baby boy has been born to you, and made him very happy." So even the guy that brought the news of his birth, he's saying, curse him even. Wow. Somebody's weed eating. I don't mean to distract from the point here, but so Jeremiah wished he had never been born also. And then in Jonah 4 and 3, he says something very similar. So all of these people are having a hard way to go. Jonah 4, 3, he says, "Therefore now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for death is better to me than life." So every one of these folks are wanting to die. But you know what? That's part of living as a fallen person and not really getting that God is life and that Christ in us is the only one that can make this life work. You know, Jesus Himself even said in Matthew, 16, 24 and 25, He says, "If you seek to save your life, you will lose it. But if you lose it for my sake, then you will get to keep it." You know, see, there's a principle there. There's an independent life. There's this idea that I'm my own man and I got to carry my own weight. Well, there's a truth in that, but you know what? Ultimately, it's Christ in you, living His life out through you. We're joined to Him as one, but we have to let Him pull. We have to let Him be the one. In Galatians 2:20, the Apostle Paul said, I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ lives in me. In the life which I now live in the body or in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God who loved me and gave Himself for me. So it's not I, but Christ lives. The old independent Paul, the independent you and I, has to die. Has to. So these overwhelming feelings of depression and wanting to die, found in all the saints pretty much in the Old Testament, are right feelings. But the enemy comes in and uses them, wanting them to end their very physical life, when God is wanting them to see that to hate this life, that this is the only life that we have. If this is the only life we have, the Apostle Paul said, we're to be pitied above all men. That's what he said. But God's trying to get us to awaken to the fact that what we're seeing and feeling in the immediate, temporal, earthly sense is not the final word. It's not the final word. So we just simply say to God, you know what, I feel depressed, I feel upset today, and I'm trusting you to keep me through it. I pray and I thank you that you are my life and you will get me through this new storm that I find myself in. However it looks or feels, it doesn't have to be the reality. The reality is you are an eternal being joined to Jesus Christ as one spirit. I hope this helps you today, and I hope that you can see that you have more in common with those saints of the Bible than maybe you even thought. Apart from Christ, we can do nothing, but with Him, we can do all things. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on the Louie File.